And the birds are here to dance for our good morning from Galilee. And let's enjoy the sun because we have just a moment with it, since the cloud will cover it up quickly. Let's enjoy this moment of the sunrise before the darkness tries to swallow it up. There's always that battle in life. All the little critters here. Oh, look at this guy. We saw the wife going over ahead of this one a few minutes ago. There's a long tail. And there's the sun behind the clouds. What was the name of that guy again? Nutria. Nutria. It's about the size of a small badger, I think, or I'm not sure what animal compares to the size of a big fat cat. Long hair, long tail, strong, heavy tail.
Beaver.
That's why they can. So you have the beavers and the otters and all these. So they're. Somebody said that this animal was imported for the fur years and years ago, but then it was not very good quality, so they were just released in the wild, and there are lots of them in the area. So welcome to Galilee this morning, and it's amazing, to be joined by a Palestinian couple from Jerusalem who happen to be Catholics, and a Jewish woman from the Negev. So I think you saw their backs there, it's a little bit like at Mount Sinai, God allowed Moses to see his back. So you saw their backs for now. It also means that there are two less people connected right now for the live stream, because they're usually connected each morning. It's just very peaceful, and the birds are singing and dancing. We hear the cows and calves mooing, bellowing up on Mount Arbel. Mount Arbel is still here, it didn't move. And there's Hada from Jerusalem. And she's here with her husband, George. Can you hear the cows and calves mooing? So I think we're going to have some more exciting light. There's a jet ski out there already this morning. Has done a couple of rounds. So there will be a beautiful fringe on the clouds with the silver linings. In a couple of moments, I think. Here we'll see it as it progresses. There you can catch it already on the camera, that beautiful lining. So let's comment a little bit on the readings. They're fascinating and they're deeply connected in their very opposite mindsets. In the first reading from the book of Sirach, we're already in chapter 51. When I was young and innocent, most of my class parents are grandparents now. Most of my classmates are grandparents. And I think these folks here are kind of grandparent age as well. So when we look back and say, when I was young and innocent, I sought wisdom openly in my prayer. I prayed for her before the temple. Somebody in Jerusalem, you know. And I will seek her until the end, seeking this wisdom. My heart delighted in her. My feet kept to the level path. Because from earliest youth I was familiar with her. In the short time I paid heed, I met with great instruction. This is really a marvelous contemplation of somebody who has a number of scores of years behind them and reflecting on their youth and the blessings they had in their youth. And I would think that many of us of our generation have had these blessings. And things changed an awful lot. But this possibility is still there for the youth today. And it's in the heart. It's in that secret place where we are in touch with the mystery of life. It's not really where passionate consumerism is. It's more in the depths of the heart. Wisdom is different than consumer pleasure. Although wisdom gives great delight, incomparable delight. And in a way, I think the point here would be also, maybe some people had a very rough time since their youth. I can imagine people in a war zone, people in a famine zone. When we were children, I remember we were praying for the people in Biafra. Even before that, in Nigeria, where my aunt was working as a nun in the civil war with the Igbos. She was with the Igbo population. And there was a civil war raging. And we were very aware of that as children. I was probably maybe 10 years old, or I forget exactly what years that war started, 10, 12 years of age. And the difficulties, but even there in those situations, people in great poverty and distress are not excluded from wisdom. Maybe a more difficult situation is people in opulence who are living in incredible wealth and luxury and selfishness. There's greater danger not to have the interior silence and serenity to ponder the mystery of life. That's clouded by so many realities. But the light, if it's given a chance, will penetrate the cloud, will pierce through, will radiate and illuminate. This love for wisdom. I think we should have a little prayer in our hearts this morning for young people today, that they can, in all the speed of life and all the focus on cell phones and handphones and all the internet and browsing. There's the sun coming through, people. That they will have that gift and receive the gift and welcome the gift of recollection, of interior pondering of wisdom, of the meaning of life, learning the difference between hatred and reconciliation, between desire for revenge after hurt and the wisdom of generous forgiveness. And to discover the wisdom of loving, the wisdom of obeying their parents, the wisdom of helping a sibling, a younger sibling, a sibling who is sick. It's really amazing to watch a family also that has a child, let's say, that is Down syndrome or something similar, a major disability or wheelchair ridden. It seems to change. There was a fish jumping over there just now. It's amazing to see the maturity of children being raised in that type of situation. Of course, it depends a lot on the parents. And there we should pray for a great heart in all parents to capture the blessing it is for their children to be looking for something more than consumerism. Just pleasures, just their own will, just their own ego. To discover a place in the world. Look at this bird standing there, going straight down for a fish. Wow. My soul was tormented in seeking wisdom. My hand opened her gate, and I came to know her secrets. I directed my soul to her, and in cleanness I attained to her. This sense of cleanness, which isn't just dirt in our hands, it's much more about a freedom of soul, a purity of soul. And just up here in the Mount of Beatitudes, we have that extraordinary line. Blessed are the clean of heart, the pure of heart, they will see God. The fount of wisdom. Yesterday we had that beautiful theme, the Lord takes delight in his people. And today it's reversed. The precepts of the Lord give joy to the heart. That means that the people are taking delight in the Lord. The Lord takes delight in his people. The people take delight in the Lord. The precepts of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. And that's the big challenge, because we all struggle with wanting to do our own will, taking shortcuts. And this is the temptation of humanity since the very beginning, to look for life in just the reflections in the shadows and not where it truly is in God himself. Big challenge. The precepts of the Lord give joy to the heart. They are more precious than gold. The problem is gold has such a glamour and such a glance and such a power, because if we have enough gold, we can do lots of things. We can consume a lot. And it's not saying that the ability to do that is wrong. It's just, how do we balance it without neglecting our soul's growth and development? Sweeter than syrup or honey from the comb are the precepts of the Lord that give joy to the heart. And now we have the opposite situation in the gospel. In the gospel, we have a very typical situation for all of us. There's a major conflict going on, and the chief priests and the scribes and the elders approached Jesus and said to him, "By what authority are you doing these things?" Now that's a marvelous question and very justified, because if somebody comes and wants to search your house, you say, "1 second, do you have a search warrant?" So you can say, "By what authority are you doing this?" If somebody comes and says, "You stop your car here, don't drive any further," by what authority are you telling me to do this? Okay, there's road construction ahead, the guy's wearing a reddish jacket, and he says, "I'm in charge of the traffic," so you stop, and you accept his authority or her authority. And then you're at the supermarket or at the bank or wherever, and there's a level of authority that instructs us what we are supposed to do. So it's a very valid question that they asked Jesus, "By what authority are you doing these things? Who gave you this authority?" And Jesus said, "I shall ask you one question. Answer me, and I will tell you by what authority I do these things. Was John's baptism of heavenly or of human origin?" So behind their question of what authority, there was also an additional motive. It wasn't a pure question. In the cleanness of heart I sought wisdom. It was a selfishly interested question. And so Jesus is trying to bring this out into the light from behind the clouds of formality, the clouds of propriety, the clouds of the shield of virtue. Sometimes we can shield evil by appearance of virtue. Even in the vocabulary. We won't go there right now, but we can go to it in a moment maybe if we have enough time. So they discussed among themselves and said, "If we say of heavenly origin," he will say, "Why did you not believe him? But if we say of human origin," they feared the crowd, for they all thought John really was a prophet. So they said to Jesus, "We don't know by what authority." So Jesus said to them, "Then I will not tell you by what authority I do these things." So he was provoking them to get clear with their own conscience. Because many times actually wisdom is clear to us, but we don't want to accept it. Wisdom is clear to us, but we don't want to follow it. To be a friend of wisdom means sometimes cutting down on the sugar because I have sugar levels, or cutting down on the fats because I have cholesterol. But that stuff tastes so good. That piece of cake is so excellent, you cannot resist it. I remember once saying to a person I knew pretty well, I said, "You shouldn't be taking that cake." And the guy said, "Well, let me tell you this." He was a priest. He said, I have the pills to deal with it." Gosh, how could you do that to your body? Put in all that sugar and then put in pills to counteract it. The wisdom of being able to measure yourself. The wisdom of being able to say no to certain things. I sought wisdom and I found delight in it. And then people, sometimes the truth is knocking at the door, it's written on the wall, the writing is on the wall, as that ancient statement goes, and we don't want to see it. And that's the beauty of the child, because the child hasn't developed this type of resistance to the truth. And that's why Jesus said, the children are entering the kingdom of heaven unless you become like a child. We gain a lot of street wisdom in shielding ourselves from real wisdom. A lot of little necks to get around the demands of truth and to expose ourselves to wisdom that asks us for hard choices sometimes. wisdom is demanding, because wisdom raises us to the truth of ourselves. Wisdom allows us to flourish as people, as persons. So we started off here with our wonderful guests this morning, and they are here for the Women's Encounter, which started yesterday with a beautiful art exhibit with the artist present to explain. It's amazing when the artist is present to explain the art piece, so much comes to life, because you can see the art piece. I saw it 2 hours before they did the explanation, and I figured it out a little bit, but when they started explaining and the techniques of how the etching was done, then you were filled with wonder. And that's why this first work of art that God made, the sunrise and all of creation, how much it's illuminated by the second book God wrote, the Bible, that was inspired by him. With so many people like this author of the Book of Wisdom, with their hearts open to read God's intent under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. So I thank you very much this morning for joining us. And I will say goodbye, and God bless you. And here we can have Hada and George wave. George, are you awake? Oh, there we are, Hada and George. How long are you guys married? How many years married? How many years married?
Married, oh.
Or you're just dating?
A lot.
How many?
I can't tell you.
No.
It's 60.
60 years married?
Yes.
Well, let's all give a round of applause here for George and Hada.
23rd of July, we'll celebrate the 60 years.
On the 3rd of July?
On the 23rd.
Oh, the 23rd?
23rd.
That was my father's second birthday. He was born on the 17th, but he was registered on the 23rd, and the clerk wrote down he was born on the 23rd of July, 1917. So my mother took out the whiskey on both occasions to celebrate his 2 birthdays. So that's fantastic. George and Had, it's so nice to see you here in the sunlight. And then we will say goodbye now. Let me go back here. And God bless you all. Thank you for joining us this morning. And we had this beautiful sunrise. And God bless you. And say a prayer for the women's conference today, that the speakers and the retreat will be a delight for them, that they will grow in the delight of the Lord. The precepts of the Lord give joy to the heart. They're not just limitations. They limit a couple of things in us, but they're openings. They're like pathways through a forest. They're like launching pads into space. The precepts of the Lord give joy to the heart. People, God bless you. See you later, alligators.